I forgot to do this last year. Well, technically, I started the log like halfway through and then just I forgot about it. And I pretty much use these just for myself to remember like if there's something I want to read. Basically, it's just a list of titles that I saw that came out in 2023. This is the complete list. All the porn games are like cut out. Anything that's like 20 minutes long was cut out. I probably missed a couple here and there. And if there's like a check, I read it. And if there's a green check, that means I probably wrote about it. I guess I put a yellow. It means like, hey, I wrote about it, but I never pushed it out. If the title is green, I either liked it or I'm interested in playing it. If it's yellow, it's a maybe. And white means, yeah, I'm probably not going to do it. Or it'll be like years later on. I won't describe them. A good part of that is because this could go on forever. It'll be like 2 hours long. But I also kind of start a title based on just like the cover or the brand. Like you can look at the cover Tokyo Necker and either go like, hey, that's not for me, or hey, that's rad. VNDB has a description for all these anyways. Like here it is. These are the ones that I played that are more like based on plot or based on like a character interaction type thing, or if like it's a slice of life, but it's not enough to be like a moe type thing. It's more still around plot. Overall, I had a good time with them. Like Tokyo Necker has some issues with some of the routes, but even then there's some snippets everywhere that help out the other routes and Idi's route. I have no idea why Idi's route isn't locked. I feel like my experience would have diminished if I read that one first. The Tsukihime remake changed the mood a bit. I preferred the older vibe, but probably more people would prefer this one. If you consider like a Venn diagram with this and Fate State Night, it has like a lot in common, but it has a lot of unique things for each one. But the remake pushed Tsukihime closer to FSN, so now there's more in common than there was before, whereas I liked it how it was. The funny thing is that the parts that I really liked about Tsukihime is on the other side, so I have to wait for the next release anyway. Basically, it's still great, I just prefer the mood of the original. Well, I also feel like the title is a bit bloated here and there, but that could be because like, oh, they're setting it for future things, I don't know. Kunado Chronicles is pretty decent. Funny enough, the part I really liked is the first route, which is Yuri, I believe. The other ones are fine. I think the second route wasn't really my thing, but I think it's only 3. I like the ending kind of, but Yuri was still the ones like, holy shit, this was a great title. Mirai is actually quite pleasant, but the good part of it isn't the true route, so you have to read all 3 routes before that one. Some of the other routes varies more because it's based on more of if you like the character or not. It's like, hey, I like this character archetype. You'll have fun. If you don't, you'll have a horrible time. And these are the others that I've read, and I've had some issues here and there, but I still kind of like them. I have more problems with Ginka or like Future Radio and the No Spare one than the rest. Like Loopers could have been longer to support the rest of the cast, or completely remove the cast to streamline the experience. And No Spare kind of had the same issue where it tries to have too many things going on, too many dilemmas, but doesn't give them all enough time to focus it. So it's like, alright, here's the guy, he has his own issues, here's the girl, there's her issues, oh, here's the sister, here's this issue. But then halfway through, it's like, alright, it's just minimal for all of them except for the relationship in between, which is the largest focus, but overall it's like, why'd you introduce all these things if they're just like not even half baked, they're like 3/4 baked. It pissed me off. I would have liked Futurator if I just stopped before the true route. The concept itself is cool, and it's something you'd assume would be the case before hitting the true route anyway, but I just didn't like the character. The extras fucked up even more, where before even hitting the final plot point, you have to go to this H scene with this character that wasn't introduced at all. It's probably from another title. It's like, why are you here? Why? This is stupid. One just had issues. I don't know what it was exactly going for. I made some guesses like, oh, this is how the plot's gonna do, this is what they're trying to do, but I feel like that was me trying to make things out of nothing. And Ginka, I've talked to a few people on this one, and it's funny because I think everybody has like different issues with it, unless I think those two is like, I had a fun time throughout the whole thing. And some of us are like, the beginning was great, halfway, like, not even like 2/3 way through it was retarded, and I'm like, the beginning was ass. It was just a checklist of things to do until like the actual shit was happening, and it's like they're all in different factions. It was funny. These are the titles I kind of want to read, but there's like restrictions to them. Like I'd have to read Robotic Notes for Anonymous Code, and I have to read like all of Phantom Trigger before starting Grisaya, like the Chronos Rebellion or whatever it's called. The Mamiya Doomsday Dream had to like reset everybody's progress because there's some changes in the first half, and I already read that like last year, so I have to read it again. And I didn't really like the changes. I wasn't a fan of them, so I just never got to it. I'm still going to. It just took longer. I thought I would already finish it. I know a guy that had a lot of fun with like the Archetype Arcadia thing, and it's one of those titles that almost have like no one bought it or even played it. And that kind of reminds me of like Gene at the Clock Tower, and I had a decent time with that one. I think it had like 40, not even 40 reviews, it had like 40 votes. Holy shit. And these 3 are the ones I'll get to eventually. There's so much MLA going on, and it's like, it's one of those things where once you know there's so much, you kind of just want to avoid it, but you also know it's like, I might actually like this, but holy shit, do I have to read all this? I think there's like 5 titles I have to go through before hitting this one. And these are the ones I'm not sure about. I wasn't a huge fan of Subete. I think I rated this pretty decently because of its ideas, but I put a heavier emphasis on the start and the end. And there's a lot of like tonal whiplash halfway through in some chapters, and there's some sections that could have been ripped out completely. So it's like one of those vegan diner shit where it's like, hey, I had fun, I like this. Do you want to come in tomorrow? No. Fuck that, I'm gonna eat my shit again. Maybe in a month or something. And I think these are gonna be those things like, they're not bad, I might actually like them, I just don't want to do it right now. And then here's this like Sekai no Subete, whatever it's called. It sounded cool, I saw the description, great. It's only on DL site, so like what the fuck? I remember searching around to see like the quality of the script before buying it because there's like nothing. I think I only found like 4 screenshots in like Twitter or whatever, and it was like some random guy, sorry I don't remember your name, it was like a year ago. The translation was fucking horrendous. To the point it was funny, so if you want to do like a joke video, I guess that would be a great VN to read, but otherwise no. These are the ones that are heavy on the gameplay. Recross is the one I'm not really sure about, but it's Alisoft, so it's probably the case. I played Ars Magna. I wouldn't really recommend it, but there are pretty cool parts inside here and there, especially like the last like 2 hours or so. Reminds me a lot of Uda a bit, or like Legend Sung if you want to do the English version. Rants is like the same issue where it's like, hey, a couple of them are not in localization yet, they're still not out. Like I think it's Rants 3, and it's like, why would I bother with Rants 9 right now? It's, you know, why would I do it? Figures of Dragoon is like the same thing with Ars Magna. It's like same company. It's like, I don't want to read another one. I also heard it's like a lot of kind of grindy or something. And Guy is like a fetish thing I'm not into. So hey, of course I'm skipping that one there. And these are the two that I wasn't even sure if it was a VN or something, or like something closer to like horror RPG maker game type thing with just a decent amount of budget. Turns out Sentimental Death Loop was punted off of VNDB, but Aishin's still around, but it looks like the same thing to me, so I don't know. And these are the ones I'm not really sure if it even has gameplay. Like Process of Elimination has screenshots of like, oh, here's the strategy RPG grid, but I skimmed through like 3 hours thing and I never saw the grid. It's like, where the fuck is it? And so I skipped like 5 chapters ahead in the YouTube thing, in the YouTube playlist, and I still saw no combats. Like, wait, where the fuck's the gameplay? This is weird. And I think the other two are like interaction type thing, but it's not gameplay, so they shouldn't count. And these two are on VNDB, but I'm not sure if they should be counted at all. Like, unless Mariskelter changed in the last 2 games, it was primarily like a dungeon crawler game, like 90% of the time. And Galedia sounds like the same damn thing. It looks like more dungeon crawler than anything else. And these are the Otomis I played. From what I remember, I think I placed Jokjin at like the top of my tier list last year. It's great, but you'll have to be a fan of like either the arts or at least like the character interaction between them all. I read the other 2 this year. The Tempest FD is pretty okay. There's a lot of good in there, but I was also not a fan of some of the answers they're going for. There was a lot of questions here and there from the original that like, oh, maybe it would be answered here, and they were. But it was like very boring answers, and it's very, very simple answers where I thought it'd be more convoluted, and I was like, oh, that'd be interesting, and it just wasn't. There's still a lot of cool things in there, like 3/4 of it is like, oh, that's it? Alright, I would have guessed that's like the easy answer. I thought it'd be more complicated. Virtuous highly regarded. It wasn't totally my thing. I still have it as an 8, and I can see being a 9. It's a lot edgier than a normal Otome, and it's one of those titles where you have to get to the true route, even if there's like a route you're not having like a ton of fun with, because like, hey, the true route's worth it. These are the ones I'm planning to play. I've talked to some people that love the Radiant Tale, but I've also seen some people like, actually, not a great title. Hana Awase is one of the ones I'm waiting for. Technically, there's a Switch version already, but apparently Manga Gamer is handling the PC ports, so it's something I'd probably wait for. There's also apparently like a card game inside, so that'll be fun. These I might play down the line. There's just so many damn titles, and I'm like, it's fine. And these are the 2, like, what the fuck are you? I'm not touching this. This looks more like what I'd normally complain about, like the Moe titles, where it's like, it's very about nothing. And, you know, there's fans for it. They probably sell the most. But for me, it's like, there's no plot. And then it'll be hilarious. So one guy's like, actually, this has the most plot. It's the most thing. It's very underrated. It'll be funny, so. Here's the BL titles and the Yuri ones. There's not really my thing, so I can't say what's good or not. I might actually read Light eventually, but I'll probably try reading Slow Damage first. And these are the Moe titles. There's good parts in Clover Days, but it's also not something I'd recommend to people. Still better than Secret Agent though. I think my brain went numb halfway through since I actually started having fun with Secret Agent, even though nothing was going on for the most part. I wrote about it, but I was kind of negative on it, so I'm not sure if I'll even push it out. This is probably the only one I'll actually try reading, only because I like the art. I'm not actually sure what the plot is. Yeah, it's probably just a feels good time, good vibes, whatever. Outside of that one, I really don't care about any of these. I think these 2 are also Moe titles, but I'm not actually sure. Like, I'm actually pretty sure Klutzy Cupid is a Moe title, but Walker Romance, I'm not sure. Here's the Kuso one. It was written by Rio 7. I remember reading a review years back and went pretty in depth on how it all sounded extremely dumb. I know a few that picked it up and just confirmed it. It was hilarious. They hated it so much. But at the end of the day, I think it'd actually be pretty fun to read knowing that it's just going to be a shit show the whole time. And these are the rest of them. I have no idea what they are. The only two I'd probably pick up is like Saiga and maybe Absent in the Rain. And that's pretty much it for that year. This isn't going to take like a video spot because it's super easy to do. Actually, it is, but then fuck me doing paint on it because I suck at any arts. It's going to take a while, but it shouldn't take like a spot at all. This will probably be out before Labyrinth Meister, and I think Sparking's coming out like in a couple of days. So that's probably going to be reading, and that'll probably be coming out after Labyrinth Meister, maybe.